We've adjusted the time given the age and availability of people of our age for this service. And it partakes of the mystery of this opportunity to adjust and address our lives in a new way. The word Selichot means penitence, and we'll talk more about the service itself, but immediately now we're going to begin with saying goodbye to the Sabbath with Havdalah, and I'd like to invite our cantor, Andrew Henry, to share with us the songs that inaugurate the new week and say goodbye to the Sabbath.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you. And hello to everyone here. Just as I had mentioned in the pre-show, we are now live on YouTube, and if you turn off your video, you won't be seen. If you turn on your video, you might be seen. So I'm going to keep mine on because otherwise, there we go. We're starting on page 100 of our prayer book that will be shared on your screen shortly with the prayers for Havdalah. If you have a Havdalah set and a candle, please light it. I don't because my hands are busy, but here we go. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen borei peri hagafen ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei vesamim borei minei vesamim la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'esh borei meorei ha'esh la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam המבדיל בין קודש לחול, בין אור לחושך, בין ישראל העמים, ביום השביעי, בששת ימים המעשה. ברוך אתה אדוני, המבדיל בין קודש לחול. המבדיל בין קודש לחול, חטאותינו הוא ימחול. זרענו וכספנו ירבה הכל, והכוכבים בלילה. שבוע טוב, 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 שבוע טוב. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. We close out Havdalah with a song for Eliyahu, Elijah the prophet. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhira v'yamenu, Yavo Elenu, Im Mashiach ben David, Im Mashiach ben David.
Rabbi, before we continue, I have to apologize for what's going on and what's not going on the screen. I had it all set up and I am now drowning in figuring out how to do this, so please forgive me. I think I'm going to leave it at this view just because I believe you all can see it, and I don't want to be taking your attention away from the screen any more than I already have.
No problem. We are all experiencing a little bit of the newness of this method of meeting. We have just spoken of Jewish hope, the hope that Elijah will come to draw the hearts of the children to the parents and the hearts of the parents to the children. It's a messianic hope. And on this night where we begin the process of opening our hearts to each other and to our communities, I invite you, if you have the booklet either on a PDF or in front of you, to join us on what is page 104 of the booklet.
There, we're getting there.
Thank you.
Here we are. Thank you, Karen.
So sorry. So professional.
Thank you, Karen. We are ready to begin our Selichot services. And Selichot dawns with the idea of Jewish optimism. One of the central ideas that we contributed to the world was a struggle against what people called fate. The idea that the stars had decided our future. The idea is that we, from the moment we were born, were destined to one destiny. And what we believe as optimistic Jews is that we have a good deal of agency, a good deal of responsibility and possibility. And part of acknowledging that is these days of awe. Awe not only at the divine and the beauty of creation and the possibility of a future, but awe at the human possibilities that exist within each one of us to use the agency we have, the free will, the effort, in small ways and in large ways, to direct our lives. And specifically, we begin with the song that marks this day, Hashivenu. Let us return to the truer self that we can be.
Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai, Elecha, Venashuva, Venashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameno Kekedem. Return again, return again, return to land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai, Elecha, Venashuva, Venashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameno Kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameno Kekedem.
That song, those words, the melodies, our cantor's voice, are invitations to our heart to begin to listen to a deeper place in our being, as does this song, which is about building a world of compassion. The word chesed means love, it means grace, it means compassion. And I can't think of a world that needs love, grace, and compassion more than our world. And we're invited to build it beginning tonight toward a more bright future. We're a week away, 7 days away from, actually 6 days away from saying goodbye to a year that has been very upsetting and cruel in many ways. And we look forward with hope that the coming year, which dawns Friday night, will help us to build this world of love and compassion.
Amen. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai. Olam chesed yibaneh, Yadadai, Olam chesed yibaneh, Yadadai, I will build this world from love, Yadadai, and you can build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love.
Please join us in the next melody that we sing. It's actually a melody found on page 105 at the bottom of the page.
This is Or Zarua. Or Zarua LaTzadik UleYisrael Lev Simcha. 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 Or Zarua LaTzadik UleYisrael Lev Simcha.
We turn now to page 106, and I'm going to share with you this reading, which I find so meaningful, as it reminds us of the special time. And so we come to this hour of Selichot under the canopy of night to celebrate goodness, to proclaim what is right and true, to praise, to thank, to express bracha, the greater giver, who gives and renews our lives. We turn to loved ones, to friends, and to our people everywhere, the whole house of Israel. And our hearts turn toward the human family. We pray for its healing. Yet hardest of all is the inward gaze, the return to ourself, the honest reckoning of the soul, cheshbon hanefesh. We ask how to account for selfish acts, lies, and senseless anger, how to account for the shadows, the storms, the bitterness in our lives, the damage and distress we cause, how to own up to it all, and find our way back with integrity and peace. We ask, have we the will to change? And if not now, when? We turn to page 107, the moment of coming to Selichot is one in which we imagine the gates of repentance opening before us. It's found on page 107 at the bottom.
Pitru li sha'arei tzedek avovam, avovam odea. Pitru li sha'arei tzedek avovam, avovam odea. Open the gates of righteousness. May the love in our hearts never cease. Give thanks to our God for blessing all our days as we enter your gates in peace. Pitru li sha'arei tzedek avovam, avovam odea. Pitru li sha'arei tzedek avovam, avovam odea.
We turn to page 110, and one of the introductions to the penitential prayers, the Selichot prayers, is the reminder that the soul and the body were created in mercy. They're part of God's gift to us, that we are to mind our soul, to mind our body, and to understand that they are joined together at this moment in this being. But in some future being, the soul is to continue as part of God's creation. We spoke of the idea of being born and reborn again earlier in the service. And it's a very powerful way to think of what we're doing at this moment. We're beginning the process of self-creation, recreation, our confrontation with our created self, the inevitable understanding that we have learned, we have erred, and yet we acknowledge that we can do better, that we have an optimistic and hopeful horizon that opens for us this year. Haneshama lach, v'haguf pa'alach, chusa al amalach.
הנשמה לך והגוף פולח חוסה חוסה על המלאך הנשמה לך והגוף פולח חוסה חוסה על המלאך.
At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to take a moment and to use the questions that are in front of us. And maybe if you have a piece of paper and a pad, to write and reflect for a few moments. And I would even suggest that if you would like, please close the camera. Stay with us, of course, but use this as a time for reflection and a time for allowing ourselves to pay attention to some of the very powerful questions that are asked here on page 110. We come back together with the words that are part of meditation. Yihu l'ratzon imrei fi, the words that my mouth utter, may they enter my heart, and my patterns of life and practice.
Yihu l'ratzon imrei fi, v'higyon libi lefanecha. Yihu l'ratzon imrei fi, v'higyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri v'goali, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri v'goali.
Thank you, Cantor. I hope that if you've had a chance to jot down some thoughts, that you will also maybe take the paper and use the opportunity for some journaling, some writing, some thinking about the questions that are asked earlier. We're going to call an audible and turn to page 117.
There it is. This is Kianu Amecha, a song of forgiveness.
Kianu Amecha ve'ata Eloheinu, anu vanecha ve'ata avinu, anu avadecha ve'ata Adonenu, anu kahalecha ve'ata chelkenu. Anu nechalatecha ve'ata goralenu, anu tzonecha ve'ata rohenu, anu charmecha ve'ata notrenu, anu felatecha ve'ata yotzrenu, anu reatecha ve'ata dodenu, anu segulatecha ve'ata kerovenu, anu amecha ve'ata malkenu, anu ma'amirecha ve'ata ma'amirenu.
I know that it's difficult. Beth Ohr is a synagogue that loves to join in, and I have served other congregations where I join in with the cantor. Little did I know that they had cut the mic and allowed the cantor, who was the professional and who knew what he was singing, to be heard as opposed to an off-tune rabbi. We are very pleased that Cantor Andy is leading us again. I think this is the fourth year.
I believe so, yes.
And we're very pleased. When we're in our normal place, they don't even cut the microphone. So we all get to join you with full throatedness, which we can still do from our homes.
Absolutely.
Jewish tradition says that if we are to begin the process of repentance, we are to remind ourselves of the 13 attributes of God. And I remind you that the way we think of God is that we human beings are the wheels on the chariot of God. And so when we're reciting the 13 attributes, we're not referring only to the deity, but we're referring to the way we should try to be as human beings. And so we will sing with the cantor in our muted state, but recite the 13 attributes on page 120.
Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Erech apayim, V'rav chesed v'emet, Notzer chesed la'alafim, Nose avon v'afesha, V'chata v'nakeh.
God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to the 1000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
Amen.
We have this beautiful reading that I'm going to invite one of our congregants to recite. Unfortunately, I didn't ask them in advance, so I hope they will not be thrown off. But I'd like to invite Sue Nevins, if she would read on page 121, the Prayer of the Elders. You'd unmute.
We rise now to honor them, our elders, from whom we have learned stories and lessons, with whom we have studied and worshiped and celebrated the passages of life and time. Our elders who have taught us goodness, honesty, and the sanctity of life, whose mantles are woven with threads of memory, embroidered with silver and gold, majestic folds of silk and velvet, in royal hues befitting their rank, as brilliant as the sun. We rise now to honor them as they put aside these everyday mantles of splendor and don their sacred garments, the vestments of purity and holiness, befitting the days of awe so soon approaching. Each in its turn is fitted with wimple, mantle, and crowns, each more stunning than the last. Majestic folds of velvet and silk to clothe the holy words, a canvas of purest white, as brilliant as the moon.
Can you see the?
I just lost the place because I had to scroll.
The holy season has now begun, and the elders in their yontif clothes stand proud and tall before us, beacons of wisdom and light, reminders of the holiness we seek on this new day in Elul. We have a custom on Selichot night. Thank you, Sue. We have a custom on Selichot night to change the mantle, the covering that is on the Torah. The Vanna White of our service is pointing to the Torah, which has already received the white mantle. And I hope that everybody noticed on the cover of the booklet they received a PDF of and the opening is that the elders that we refer to are certainly our parents and people that we've known throughout our lives, but also one of the who was the rabbi and founding rabbi of this congregation, and whose name is on the Torah covering, Rabbi Michael Roth, and we honor him at this moment as we focus on the mantle, the covering that adorns our Torah. And I see that Vanna White in the person of Andy is lifting up the Torah so that we can perhaps see the inscription with his name on it. He was our teacher of Torah and remains our teacher of record for this congregation. We're going to recite the words on page 123. The words that you know so well from attending Torah service. Thank you. There's a good picture of the mantle in white, symbolic of this time of year. Cantor, if you could lead us to Torah Adonai Tmima.
Oh, actually, Rabbi, we were going to do Etz Chaim He, I believe, here.
Okay.
That's all right. There we go.
Page 123.
Etz Chaim hi Lamachazikim ba V'tomcheha מאושר, בתומכך מאושר. דרכך דרכי נועם, בכל נתיבותיה. שלום, 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 שלום. בכל נתיבותיך שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך, השיבנו ונשובה. חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו קדם.
A precious teaching I have given you, my Torah, do not forsake it. A tree of life to those who hold it fast. All who embrace it know happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Take us back, Adonai. Return us, Adonai. Let us come back to you. Renew our time, the days of old.
Amen.
We begin the prayers that are unique to this time of year. They're the confessional prayers. We recite the words of the introduction on page 127 of the confessional prayers. Eloheinu v'lehei avotenu v'imotenu.
Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, tavo lefanecha tefilatenu, ve'al titalam mitchinatenu. אנחנו הזפנים וקשי עורף לאומר לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו חטאנו.
Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we return to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have gone wrong. Today we confess. Today we take responsibility. I invite everyone to rise as we turn to page 128 for the Shamnu prayers. If you're able to rise, that would be appropriate.
Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, דיברנו דופי, הבינו והרשנו, זדנו, חמסנו, טפלנו שקר. יעצנו רע, כיזבנו, לצנו, מרדנו, ניעצנו. שררנו, אבינו, פשענו, צררנו, קישנו עורף. רשענו, שיחדנו, תיעבנו, טעינו, תיתנו.
We continue on page 129 with the English reading. And unfortunately, the medium does not yet work for good unison reading, but I invite you to read with me. We killed. We were knowingly unkind. We kept to ourselves in the face of need. We lacked commitment to causes we espoused. We were lazy and we lied. We missed the mark and minimized our mistakes. We mocked what we did not understand. We neglected those who depend on us. We were negative and narcissistic. We overreached and overreacted, too often erupting in bursts of anger. We poisoned and polluted. We perverted truth for personal gain. We quelled the voice of conscience within us. We quit too soon and quarreled too often. We ridiculed and resented. We refused to accept help. We rationalized our failings and our flaws. We spurned the wisdom of our tradition. We squabbled and scorned. We talked too much or not enough. We traumatized our children with anger. We issued ultimatums and made ugly threats. We uttered untruths and undermined with cynicism. We were vain and vicious. We vilified foreigners and strangers. We wasted time, strength, and talent. We wallowed in self-pity and wished, but did not act. We exploited and appropriated. We expected others to save the world. We yearned too much for prizes and praise, and failed to share fully the joy of Zion reborn. We continue on page 130 with the Al Chetanu, as led by our cantor.
Al Chetanu lefanecha be'ones uvratzon.
The ways we have wronged you under duress and by choice.
Ve'al Chetanu lefanecha bezadon uvishgaga.
The harm we have caused in your world deliberately and by mistake.
Al Chetanu lefanecha begalul uvasater.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly.
Ve'al Chetanu lefanecha beyodim uvlo yodim.
The harm we have caused in your world consciously and unconsciously.
Al Chetanu lefanecha besinat chinam.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause.
Ve'al Chetanu lefanecha ut.
The harm we have caused you in your world through gossip and rumor.
Al chet shachatanu lefanecha b'tzarut ayin.
The ways we have wronged you through a selfish or petty spirit.
Ve'al chet shachatanu lefanecha be'imutz halev.
The harm we have caused in your world by hardening our hearts.
Ve'al kulam Eloha slichot Selach lanu v'chal lanu Kaper lanu Ve'al kulam Eloha slichot Selach lanu mechal lanu Selach lanu mechal lanu Kaper lanu.
Yehuda Amichai was one of the poets that accompanied my growing up. He was a guest of mine many times at the Claremont colleges, and he was one of the foot soldiers of an Israel that I came to love and admire. Born of a German Jewish family that had moved to Israel before the state, and he was in all ways the conscience that was so much a part of who the Israel that I came to love thought of as the poet of challenge, of love, of righteousness. But he also had a way of using poetry to remind us of how sometimes we can get stuck. The place where we are right. Min hamakom shebo anu tzodkim lo yitzmechu leolam. From the place where we are right, flowers will never grow in the spring. The place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard. But doubts and loves dig up the world like a mole, a plow, and a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood. Shebo haya habayit asher necharav. This is not part of the poem, but it's an appropriate way to continue with its thoughts. I asked myself, who's listening to these words of confession? Magnificent ear of the universe, are you my personal confidant? Or am I just talking to myself? And I got it. The question is a diversion to distract me from hearing who I really am. We continue with the words of the Shema Kolenu on page 1.
Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus verachem aleinu Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus verachem aleinu וקבל ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו. כקדם Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus verachem aleinu Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus verachem aleinu Yai da 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 Yai da 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 Yai da 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 Yai da 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 yai da 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 Yai da 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 Yai da 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 Yai da 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 Yai da 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 yai da 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 da
With the melody of the song Avinu Malkeinu, we really feel the moment of the holidays having arrived. We will conclude after a short word after the Avinu Malkeinu with the sounding of the shofar. During this week, we continue sounding the shofar till Friday morning. And then there's silence until the sounding of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. And we invite all of you to join with families that are part of Beth Ohr in celebrating a year in which we dedicate ourselves to make it possible for compassion, love, and justice to be at the center of our personal lives and our lives in our community. We have often struggled with these things in our society, and this year has been, of course, a great burden on all of us socially distanced, but I feel that our hearts are even closer together than at any other time. Cantor, if you'd begin with me, Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Ma Kolenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and powerful, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu, Va'al Olalenu B'tapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Dever V'cherev V'rav Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kotvenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu Chonenu va'anenu Avinu Malkeinu Chonenu va'anenu Ki ein banu masim Aseh manu Tzedaka v'chesed Aseh manu Tzedaka v'chesed V'hoshienu Aseh manu Tzedaka v'chesed Aseh manu Tzedaka v'chesed V'hoshienu Avi Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu va'anenu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu va'anenu, Ki ein banu masim.
I want to defer to our president for just a moment. If there's some announcements she'd like to share with our community, this is a good time.
Welcome, everyone. I want to say on behalf of myself and my Vice President, Sue Nevins, who you can also see on screen, we hope that you all have received, except those of you who are new to us, our information. We hope that you will come to the rest of the High Holy Days. We hope that you will let us know in advance, very important. And for the sake of our Rabbi and our Cantorial Soloist, who we value so much, we hope that you will buy tickets, as it were, which are tax-deductible donations, all of which goes to these two incredible individuals who we are so grateful to have with us and to provide such amazing inspirational services. We will be live on screen next Friday, this coming Friday really, at 7:30, Erev Rosh Hashanah. Please join us. And one more thing I just remembered. If you don't like my wonderful job of screen sharing or the PDF, we will be loaning out the actual books if you come by on Wednesday evening at 6:30, this Wednesday, between 6:30 and 7:30. Several of us, I think Sue and I, and Sherry Paul, will be there to hand out not only books, but a special present from Rabbi Haim Beliak. Honey and honey drippers. And I think that's it in our little package, wrapped all nicely by Sue Nevins. So please come by. We will be wearing masks. We will bring books to your car. We will do everything possible to make this as comfortable an experience as possible, given all these circumstances. So please do join us. Please let us know and come by on Wednesday night. Thank you. Sue, have I forgotten anything? Amazing. All right.
Where?
What? Oh, yes, that's what. Where? At the place where we usually meet. You've seen the address. It is the Studio City Unitarian Church at 12355 Moore Park Street. So that's on Moore Park between Laurel Canyon and Whitsett. And it's this lovely little place that we miss a great deal, but we'll be out front. You don't even have to come in. Sue.
And if you have forgotten anything, you can find it on our website at bethohr.org.
Okay.
I
Back
want
to
to
you.
thank our president and Vice President Karen and Sue. They've been doing a lot of work, and with a lot of work comes a lot of worry. They've been getting the word out to people and sharing concerns, remembering this, remembering that, and they deserve our appreciation and thanks. They have really, this year, because of the changed circumstances, have gone beyond and above everything that they always have done in past years.
Or knew how to do.
And they've learned a lot of new things as well. We conclude our service tonight with the sounding of the shofar. And we will play a portion of the shofar lesson where we have the newly prepared shofar blowers that will conclude our service with on Rosh Hashanah day. But tonight, their teacher who taught them to blow the shofar will just remind you as kind of the parting message that we see the shofar as an instrument that calls us both with alarm and concern, and with a sense of what it means to have compassion. The words of each of the notes symbolize a different emotional response and mobilization. The word shofar is the word that I love so much because it embodies, again, the realistic optimism of this day. And the word is the word shipur. In Hebrew, the word that means the possibility of improvement. We're not seeking perfection. We're seeking to improve our lives. We're seeking to move the needle a little bit. I'll self-report on just one of my efforts. It's a small thing, but it's something that I'm proud of. Last year, I made the commitment that I would return to something closer to a normal weight. So I began last year at 265 pounds, a weight I'm not very proud of. And I was down to 225 when the pandemic struck. Like many people, I gained a few pounds back. I won't tell you where I am now, but I'm returning to 225 very soon with the goal of getting to a proper healthy weight. Was that perfect? No. Was it an improvement? Yes. And I take that as a small example, personal example. And I wish each and every one of you, if you can move 40 pounds, metaphorically, or in reality, in some endeavor, I think you will have allowed us to have a sense of what it means to be involved with shipur, with improvement. After we blow the shofar, we will stay and invite comments and participation. And I hope that people will put the notes that they may have made during our meditation into an envelope. And I'm going to ask you at the end of the Hanukkah season to open that envelope. And if you want to work on your notes a little more, this is a good time between now and Rosh Hashanah and all the way through Yom Kippur. And we get a little reprieve through Shmini Atzeret. So you have about a month's time to really work on some of your resolutions, and we'll look at them at the end of Hanukkah. So Cantor, if you will announce the notes, I will respond.
Tekiah. Tekiah. Tekiah Gadola. Yasher Koach.
Thank you. We can unmute if people would like to stay and visit for a while. We
will end the YouTube stream, so we say goodbye to those of you joining us from cyberspace.
Very good. So if you would like to unmute,